So question for you, what kind of things are you hanging on to in your house that you really wouldn't want somebody to find after you die? Because I can tell you, I clean out people's houses and some of the things I find are very interesting. So let me share those with you and stay around till the end to find out what I found in my dad's nightstand when I was cleaning out my parents' house. So first of all, there are obvious things you find. I generally find mice in people's houses. It's amazing to me when I'm downsizing someone and they say, oh, I don't have mice. And you start cleaning around, you go, you see this little dark stuff here? This is mouse, poop. And, if there's a dead mouse, you can bet I find it. Usually by pulling something out and having the dead mouse fall on me, which you can't imagine how quickly you can move, how quickly your brain clicks into, hey, that's a mouse. And it takes a little bit for you to realize it's dead. I have twice found dead bats, which are better than live bats, but bats creep me out. The first one I found was actually hanging on a shelf, and I didn't know for sure it was dead. So that took a little bit till I could finally poke it and make sure that it was dead. Other things that I found, a dead squirrel in a basement, which maybe doesn't sound so strange, except that the squirrel had to come in through the garage, down the hallway in the house, and down the stairs to get into the basement before it could die there. So that was an estate I cleaned out that I found the dead squirrel. I have found a bag that had cat teeth. Like, why would you keep that? But a full bag of cat teeth that someone had kept. Okay. I had a woman I downsized one time who had boxes of dog fur. She had raised and trained long-haired collies, and every time she brushed them, she put the hair in boxes. And her plan was to find somebody who could make that into yarn and then have it made into a piece of clothing. So I thought that was pretty strange. Then I thought, well, Angora wool, and it's kind of the same thing. So I guess maybe that's not so strange. I have found, of course, pet ashes in many homes. But one time I was working with a couple, and they were an adorable couple. I loved working with these people. They were just awesome. And we're in the garage, and I pulled this tin, like from those Danish cookies, off the shelf. And I shook it, and they both look at each other, and we're all like, oh, what's in here? So I open up the tin, and we're all peering into the tin, looking at it. And I'm taking my finger and pushing it around and going, this kind of looks like bones, little bones. And they're like, oh, that's, insert pet name here. We were going to bury that in the yard. And I just looked at them and I put the lid back on the tin and put the tin back up on the shelf. I still to this day am a bit traumatized by that. How, maybe somebody can explain this to me, how do you just get the bones of the animal? I mean, obviously they didn't have the animal cremated, but where was the rest of the room? I mean, how do you just get the bones of an animal? And like, oh, so that was just awful. So that was one of the fun things that I found in somebody's house. Also, think about what kind of books, tapes, CDs you have hanging on. I can clean out somebody's house and I can tell you if they had marital problems, if there was abuse in the marriage, if there was sexual dysfunction, if they had health issues. People buy all kinds of self-help books or get CDs for counseling from the church and things like that. So if you have some of those things and you don't want everybody to know what your life was possibly like, you might want to toss that stuff, because I get a real good picture of what somebody's life was like by seeing what kind of books and paper materials and things that they had. One estate, I found a bag of fingernail clippings. Evidently, whenever they trimmed their fingernails, they put the clippings in a bag. I don't know why anyone would do that, but they did that. It's not that uncommon, really, for me to find sometimes pornographic magazines or books when I clean out somebody's home. There was one estate I did where they had a very large collection of comic books. And silly me, I was unaware that there are pornographic comic books. There was a whole collection of those. So we had to dispose of those. It was very interesting. So what did I find in my father's nightstand? My father in his nightstand had a book of Oriental sexual positions. It's like, things you just don't want to find in your father's nightstand. So yeah, I said to Mom, I said, really? You couldn't have pulled this out? Oh, I thought he got rid of that. No, he didn't get rid of that, but I had to get rid of it. So think about that. What is in your home that you really don't want somebody like one of your kids to find? Because you might want to pull it out and get rid of it, because we can become traumatized by these things.